The equation 2x squared plus 2x minus 7 equals 0 is a quadratic equation. I know this because the highest power on x is 2. This implies there are two solutions. In general, quadratic equations can be solved three ways. First, factoring can be used if the quadratic expression factors. This particular quadratic does not factor. Completing the square can also be used to solve a quadratic equation, as well as the quadratic formula, which is what I will use to solve this equation. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus, this is where the two solutions comes from, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, where a is the coefficient on x squared, b is the coefficient on x to the first, and c is the constant. Substituting the values for a, b, and c into the quadratic formula yields x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 2 squared in this case, minus 4 times a times c. c is negative 7. It's important to realize that the sign in front of each term is included in the value of a, b, and c. The denominator of the quadratic formula, 2a, is in this case 2 times another 2. Simplifying the numerator, more specifically the expression under the radical in the numerator, gives me 2 squared, which is 4, minus 4 times 2 times negative 7, which is negative 56. To be a little careful with the signs here, the quadratic formula includes a negative sign, so in this case I have 4 minus negative 56, all over 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, under that radical sign, 4 minus negative 56 is the same thing as 4 plus 56, which is 60. And the square root of 60 simplifies to 2 root 15. The solution, or the solutions, to this quadratic equation can be expressed as negative 2 plus or minus 2 root 15 over 4. However, I can put those in lowest terms. I can put this in lowest terms. Both terms in the numerator are divisible by 2, as is the single term in the denominator. Dividing all terms in the numerator and denominator by 2 gives me negative 1 plus or minus 1, which I won't write, times the square root of 15, all over 4 divided by 2, which is 2. The two solutions to this quadratic equation are negative 1 plus the square root of 15 over 2 and negative 1 minus the square root of 15 over 2. Depending on the context of the problem, the answer can be expressed as I have it on the screen now, or they can be written as two separate values, one being negative 1 plus the square root of 15 over 2, and the other negative 1 minus the square root of 15 over 2.